All right, folks, this picture, obviously we see President Trump. I actually see potentially two future presidents in this picture, President Trump and the man next to him. That's Brilyn Hollyhand. Now, he's only 18 years old, but serious accomplishments under his belt so far. He is a conservative phenom. At the beginning of 2023, Brilyn was appointed to co-chair the Republican National Committee's inaugural Youth Advisory Council. He joins us here at Newsmax, and his book has just been published. It's called One Generation Away: Why Now is the Time to Restore American Freedom. Brilyn, welcome to Newsmax. Congratulations on the book and everything else you've managed to pull off. How are you?
Greg, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. Well, look, fire away on the book. First off, one generation away,
yes, sir.
We can restore American freedom?
And we can absolutely restore American freedom. It released today. We had to give you the primetime exclusive. It's a real honor to be on here. The book's called One Generation Away, obviously a nod to Reagan's quote, freedom's one generation away from extinction. Not to be a fearmonger tonight, Greg, but I absolutely think Reagan was right then and he's right today. Freedom is on the brink of extinction. Your audience can get their signed copies at brylynbook.com.
All right, we love it. Now, you are politically precocious, but we know that, and
yes,
it's very easy to forget you're just 18. Can you tell us, actually, I have the moment. I hear that this actually turned you on to politics and to President Trump. Take a look, everybody.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, that was quite a moment. Can you tell us where you were, how old you were, and what kind of impact that had on you?
Greg, I was 10 years old. I was in the 3rd grade, and I was sitting in my living room. It was the first time I'd ever watched anything on TV. I happened to be walking through, probably playing some game, and my parents happened to be watching this. Now, Greg, you know my mom. She's a school teacher. My dad's in construction. Not a political family at all, but we happened to be paying attention to the news that night. I saw that, and I said, wow, I like that guy. He's not your typical politician. He's not sitting there reading off a teleprompter. He's real. He's relatable, and that's why my generation is gravitating towards Trump in 2024. He's got an 8-point lead today in the youth vote. That right there is exactly why, Greg.
The youth vote. And he, when you met with him, he's very, very interested in how he can increase those numbers. What did you tell him?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most recent conversation I had with President Trump. He was in a fundraiser in Montgomery, Alabama. We're backstage. We're talking. He's got his hands in the air. He's waving. He said, Brilyn, what can we do to win the youth vote? And I said, Mr. President, it's simple. First of all, come to mainstream social media platforms. Get back on Instagram, start an account on TikTok, and second, be authentic. It's so important to be getting your message directly in front of the eyes of my peers. In a 15-second video, President Trump can get his message out to hundreds of millions of first-time voters like myself this November, instead of having to spend millions of dollars on some TV ad that's going to go on cable news that my peers don't watch anyways. And guess what, Greg? It worked. President Trump has the fastest-growing TikTok account in TikTok history. My generation loves him, and clearly it's working because he's winning in the polls.
Yeah, that is wild. All right, so you put it in his head to get back on TikTok or get on TikTok. Yeah. It worked. All right, Brilyn, what are you going to be doing next week in Milwaukee? You are head of the Youth Advisory Council. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I'm chairing the Youth Advisory Council. We'll be in Milwaukee all week, making sure that we're having conversations with young voters, reaching out, having roundtable conversations. What can we be doing to win the youth? What strategies can we do as soon as students are back on college campuses? How can we be reaching out to them to first register them to vote, to remind them November 5th is not just your typical Tuesday where you go to class, go to work, go home. You need to make sure to block off 10, 15 minutes to go cast your vote. And third, make sure that they know they need to bring 5 friends with them to the polls. It's so important, Greg, and we're going to get the message out next week.
All right, now come fall, you got to go back to school, high school.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about your future plans.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I'm going into my senior year of high school, kind of a big year, and then looking into college. And listen, my peers are in the same boat. We're all looking at this right now. I mean, Greg, you remember graduating from high school. You remember going off to college, voting for the first time, renting your first apartment. It's a major pivotal milestone in life. My peers and I are going into that era of life under a Biden administration and a Biden economy. People ask all the time, why is Trump winning the youth vote? Well, yes, he's a great guy. That's why he's winning the youth vote. But it's also coupled with how bad Biden's economy is. And it's waking my generation up. I mean, listen, Greg, my generation doesn't want to grow up in America where it's the political norm to be able to throw your opponent in jail because he's beating you in the polls. My generation doesn't want to grow up in America where the senile president that's in the commander-in-chief in the Oval Office can just, send us off to war with these foreign wars he keeps starting. Greg, my generation doesn't want to grow up in an America where Law and Order is just the title of a TV show, not the actual standard here. President Trump can bring that back.
We love it. And also, by the way, getting out of college, getting out of school, getting your own apartment, that's tough to do, tougher than ever before. All right, we'll take a look at this next week when we find out the answer. But who, in all your experience and contacts, who do you think the vice presidential nominee is going to be?
So I've heard several things. I do know that President Trump's probably going to be announcing before early next week. That's what we've heard in some media reports today. I'll preface it with this, Greg. Nobody has any idea what Trump's going to do. Trump's a man of making decisions himself. I think he needs to take the youth vote into consideration when he makes that choice. I'll be supporting President Trump as my first time voting for somebody and his VP nominee, regardless of who it is. Ben Carson's a dear friend of mine. Obviously, I'm kind of personally, attached to him. He endorsed my debut book. He's been on my podcast 2 times. I think Ben's one of the smartest, nicest people I know. But Doug Berger, Vivek, Marco Rubio is just speaking at that Trump rally on the screen there. All people that are supporting President Trump, that have been behind him, J.D. Vance as well. I think Trump's going to have a big decision. He's going to make a right choice.
All right. I am looking forward. It is exciting. There's wild stuff going. Oh, final question.
Yes.
Do you think Biden survives?
No, not at all. We'll have President Kamala Harris at some point.
Wow. I think you're right about that, too. Brilyn Hollyhand, thank you very much. The name of the book is One Generation Away, Why Now is the Time to Restore American Freedom. We'll put all the information on our website. It's very easy to find wherever books are sold. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you.
You bet. We'll be right back.